cross-domain, cross-sectoral data sharing, also bringing a smart city use cases of social value creation. And global harmonization is also something that we have been strongly advocating. It was my great pleasure to invite Martin from OASC and Mikko Rusama from the city of Helsinki to the official Smart City Side event, to the G20 Japan Summit that was held in 2019, to share the global front-runner practices with a Japanese audience. NEC also believes that nurturing citizens' trust and thereby developing social acceptance of digital innovation or digital services is crucially important, and we are participating in the related initiatives by World Economic Forum, OECD, and of course by Open and Agile Smart Cities. Of course, NEC is a technology solution provider operating worldwide, and we are working for cities with NEC's business offerings, including Fiverr-based data platform, which we share to deliver, which we started to deliver first to the cities in Europe, but then later also to Japanese cities, and more recently in India as well. So in what follows, Mitsuyo Nishioka, who is in the Smart City business team based in Tokyo, will first share NEC's overall strategy. Then Ernoe Kovacs in the research team in Heidelberg, Germany, will elaborate some recent innovation activity working with European cities. And it's my great pleasure to invite Hans Jayatissa, CTO of KMD. KMD has become an NEC Group company since 2019, having a long experience in working for public sector digitalization in Denmark. And finally, Martin kindly agreed to make his remarks to conclude this session. So without further ado, are you ready, Nishioka-san? I stopped sharing my screen. So actually, Mitsuyo Nishioka was supposed to tell briefly about NEC overarching strategy and global context. So NEC is working on the smart city space, a global collaboration, working with the European team, Indian team, and so forth. And of course, we are delivering City OS based on the Fiverr offerings. But we have other advanced technologies like AI and cybersecurity and so forth, and or 5G and so forth. And NEC also working with a broad range of private sector as well as public sector clients, as shown like here. And although we have a long history of working in each sector with our offerings, it looks like that we have to move into a kind of a cross-industry service building and making use of the more interoperable and collaborative business execution in order to be able to deliver value to the people, of course, and to the public organization and private organization. Just mention a few that NEC has done in the in Japan. We have been making contributions to the open guideline establishment in Japan. Just to name a few, the earliest one was the right-hand side cross-domain data exchange platform. This was a government project, and NEC is a member. Somewhat later, NEC worked as a leading coordinator of the central one, Japan's Smart City Reference Architecture, which was the formulation project operated by the Japanese government cabinet office. And the outcome of this reference architecture was further elaborated in the succeeding project, also coming from the government, the research and validation on the data exchange platform for Super City, which actually materialized the basic concept of the smart city reference architecture. And in doing that, NEC has all the time been, referencing the global de facto or the interoperability-oriented activities. And of course, OASC MIMS and the Fiverr and GSI are the strong drive force in coming up with the reference architecture. And Japanese government does have a strong intent that such a framework to be shared nationwide, because there are many municipalities now trying to consider this direction. And just bringing up one case in Takamatsu City, this city worked and implemented the fireware-based data exchange platform, which they call a common IoT platform, and started working on the several verticals as their smart city initiatives. And the disaster management was one of them, important priority, because the area is facing the ocean, not the inland sea, and the rivers tended to flood upon the typhoon hit. And what's interesting is that the Takamatsu City started discussion with the two neighboring smaller municipalities, and they started to share the same goals across regional boundaries. And the multiple municipalities, Takamatsu and Kanonji and Ayagawa, they start to share, use the same dashboard and the data exchange system in order to get a more comprehensive real-time visualization of the disaster situation to manage and give guidance to the residents. And what's important is that it's not disaster management is not something to be done city by city, because people commute from one municipality to another to work in daytime. So if we want to really make our smart cities useful to the people, such collaboration among the cities is really important. And this looks like a very important first step towards also making the Japan's cities and communities and societies to be connected and smart. So just by putting one example from Japan, I'm now inviting Ernoe from Heidelberg to share more recent innovation activities.
So, welcome also from my side to this session in which we are presenting what we have done around the world with the example from Japan now. And in this session, I would like to point out some of the innovation which we are bringing towards the smart city space as open source software in many cases, as solutions which you can get from the company in other cases. And that is linked very much to the urban digital twin concept and the green transitions, which we are seeing now happening in Europe and being enforced by the Green Deal from the European Commission. So the first thing I want to talk about is, and my slide transition is slow. I believe my computer is slow. It's here. The green transition, when we look into it, we see that Europe wants to be carbon neutral by 2050. And that is a really challenging goal. It means we have to do this green transition on all levels of the society, the technology part, the societal part, the cities and the citizens. And we believe that ICT technology is a key, and distributed and collaborative digital twins provide the needed intelligence for that. But that intelligence needs to be somehow brought into the world. Today, we learned about the local digital twins. You mean the digital twin not on the national level, but on the local level. And that means we need to be able to create digital twins for basically every object. And we need to be able to deploy the needed intelligence of that digital twins into the edges and into the fogs. We are having the 5G, 6G technology for that, and also for the the optical networks, the ION part, where we have connectivity which allows high volume, ultra connected fog edge clouds as an execution environment for the digital twins. Then we have the new network features like network slicing, multi-access edge clouds, deploying computing where we need it. And we have the data spaces in conjunction with the 5G, 6G networks that allow us to share data between all the participants on top of a strong network security. And that's the environment in which we are realizing collaborative digital twins. And we have a project in Murcia in which we are exactly building this system with a local digital twin for the campus and an execution environment where fireware and data spaces and OASC MIMS are integrated into the 5G network. What do we like to achieve with this innovation? We would like to have collaborated digital twins, which will represent every major element of a smart city. And we will have the overlay digital twins, which will combine the work of the individual digital twins so that in total we can achieve the green transition. As an example, and you will hear about that in the next talk, we will have buildings which are optimizing themselves, utilizing digital twins. But as a city, you want to have all of the buildings working in unisono and together. In some cases, like the disaster case, you want to shut down buildings fast and immediately, and other parts here. And the digital twins will bring us the benefit of creating insights on what is happening, allowing us to do predictions with AI models. They provide simulations so that we can do what if scenarios, and they can help us in optimizing the overall operation. On the right-hand side, you see a protocol stack, how we can envision that these kind of collaborating digital twins can be realized. Not going to go into detail on that part, but let's see how what we're needing technology-wise to realize these collaborative digital twins. And we believe that these digital twins, sometimes in the future, they will be built into the product, into the devices which we are going to buy. But nowadays, the digital twin will be built from the data that we have available. And that will be very heterogeneous data coming from a plethora of different devices, but will also come from other systems, from data lakes, from social networks, from GIS systems. And they are all having isolated data. And one of the first goals is to connect them all together in a so-called unified knowledge graph. And then we take the data from that knowledge graph. Some elements of that will establish the data of the digital twin, the internal state information, as well as the context information. And then we are augmenting this data with the logic, with the intelligence of the digital twins. That is where we apply AI models for the mentioned goals here. And with that combination of the digital twins, we are going to create the green transition applications, the city application that allow us to get greener, ranging from fact-based decision-making until continuous commissioning of the buildings and the system and even the city, green prediction and a strategic planning. And that's our target. And what are we from NEC now bringing to that picture? First of all, from our innovation, we have implemented Scorpio, a federated context broker. It's the world's first context broker that is implementing the full 1.3 standard of NGSI LD, which is the MIM1 standard. It's a full implementation of 1.3. It's a full federated broker, which is another novum here. And we are releasing that into the, we have released it into the open source, and you can utilize it. We're also using it in many projects. We, on top of that, have a distributed computing environment where we can program the edges, the fogs, and the clouds together. That's called FogFlow. It's also a fiber enabler. We are now working on this AI-based data enrichment pipeline, as just described. We are on the way of preparing towards the collaborative digital twins. And we have first applications which are dealing with the green transition. For example, the mobility toolkit from the CEF Odala project, which is utilizing data from the city and the citizens to give us CO2 computations. We are applying that in many different projects in cities like Heidelberg, Kiel, St. Quentin, in Odala, in Murcia, in this DCI project, in Santander, in the CF Salted, in Aarhus, Odense, and Bergen in the project with KMD on Twin for Build. And we have a lot of commercial operations in Lisbon, Porto, Santander, Cordoba, and other areas where that's being applied. The mobility toolkit is there to compute the carbon accounting for a city district on one level, but also the individual CO2 footprint. All of that data is going into the NGSI Scorpio broker, in which we can build the digital twins, which are doing the flexible CO2 computation, which we are then giving to the city dashboard so that the city official can make informed decisions, and to the individuals. And in our next talk, Hans will talk about what KMD is doing in the public sector, and especially for the carbon emission in buildings. Having said that, I will stop sharing and hand over to Hans.
Thank you very much, Ernoe. And I'll just start sharing my screen. Just 2 seconds. So now it should be going. So yeah, so I promised to talk a little bit about some practical examples from KMD. And as Mochizuki-san told you about, KMD is fully owned by NEC for the past 3 years. Prior to that, actually, in 11 days, KMD will turn 50. And for all those 50 years, we have been working with public sector digitalization, and originally owned by the Danish municipalities. But for the past 12 years, we have been a private company. So as many of you probably know, Denmark has by United Nations actually two times in a row been declared the most digital government, having the most digital government in the world, so the world leader in e-government. And since KMD has been working in this sector for the past 50 years with digital government, we have, of course, made a number of contributions to getting Denmark into that position. So on this slide, on the top part of the slide, we have different digitalization strategies from the Danish Agency of Digitalization. And on the bottom part, some of the innovations and some of the projects that KMD has done. So just to give you a couple of examples. So first of all, borger.dk or citizen.dk, which is the citizen portal for all citizen self-service in Denmark. And that was actually originally invented by KMD and implemented by KMD. Likewise, we have e-box. E-box is our digital mailbox for all Danish citizens and for all Danish companies, where you receive letters, all the official letters from the Danish public sector. Again, an idea and a product that was invented by KMD. But there are also other examples, like we have created NemKonto or Easy Account, which is an easy way to pay out money from the government to the citizens. And lately, the Data Hub platform or data distributor, which distributes core data to those agencies and also private companies that are allowed to get those specific data. And the data is, for example, our central personal registry, central company registry, central building registry, and those kind of things. So some of the core registers are some of the things we are distributing at KMD. So just to give you an overview in another way, in this picture you see you can see the Danish society, and all the small black print here are KMD systems that is used by the Danish society. So basically, if you are a Danish citizen, you will engage with KMD systems quite frequently in your daily life, no matter whether you are applying for higher education, getting a salary paid out from a public institution, you need unemployment benefit, or even we have a number of energy solutions as well that I'll come back to, even about your consumption of your water or gas or electricity. All those systems are systems made by KMD. And the reason for me telling about all this is, of course, okay, then we were acquired by NEC, and that gave us some completely new opportunities, specifically within the smart city area. So I'll come with two practical examples. The first one is an IoT context platform that we are creating together with the municipality of Aarhus and the Association of Municipalities in GovTech Midtjylland. And basically, the idea is to create, you could say, fireware as a service. So a generic platform that public, either municipalities or regions can use for creating, for using that for context and getting easily started with IoT. So it started first of all with an internal POC, simply to say, okay, can it be possible to create such a platform which is very easy to use? You simply access it as a service based on fireware. The internal POC was basically just made at KMD, where we used some sensor data from our meeting rooms, so not that interesting in itself, but at least it proved the concept. And then currently, Aarhus municipality is now looking into using this platform for specific use cases, and that will, of course, then gradually extend to this generic platform that can be used by other municipalities as well, and enable those municipalities in, you could say, fast to start with creating a context platform for their specific domains. So you could say in reality a generic solution, but it enables municipalities to quickly start using the technology. Another example that we are working with, and Ernoe hinted to that previously, is looking into creating a smart building energy management platform. It's a research project. We're working together with the University of Southern Denmark, the engineering company Kovacs, and again, Aarhus municipality, in order to create this solution. And the idea about the solution is that today, one of the, you could say, the new things within building management is to create digital building information management models. These models have many advantages. However, they're also quite static. They are basically a static digital twin of a building. So of course, you could say in the building phase where everything is static, this is a fantastic model. However, the intention of this project is actually to move from these very static models into more dynamic models. So actually also being able to be used when the building is in use. And of course, especially around, you could say, the green agenda about carbon neutrality, looking into how is your energy consumption, how can you improve it? So also being able to make a more dynamic digital twin that actually will enable you to optimize your energy consumption. So the whole idea about this project is to move from these static building information models into dynamic building energy management models that then you actually can use for improving making your building greener. And just to give you an overview about what are the objectives here. So it is basically to create this real-time building performance monitoring. So you will be able to not just have a static model, but really be able to understand how is your building working. It also enables you to run what-if scenarios in advance. So before you implement the actual changes, you can try them out in this model. So what we intend to get out of this project is basically higher energy efficiency in the buildings, to have a tool for smarter facility management, but also having a tool for aiding for this more strategic planning on how to manage your energy consumption. And the whole idea is, of course, to be able to reduce energy consumption, especially you could say for municipalities and regions that have a lot of buildings and a huge building estate. So being able to reduce the consumption, it could be water, heating, electricity, is of course a wild thing, both from a financial point of view, but of course also from a green point of view. So that was just briefly 2 examples. We have a lot of other different examples where we create this context platform, but that was just what I chose to show now. And of course, you're very welcome to contact me to listen and to hear more about these initiatives. But let me hand over to Martin as the last speaker of today.
Thank you so much. And well, just very, very quick reflections. We are running towards the end of the session here, but I think it's very impressive to see Yasunori and colleagues, both because there's a global vision, and as you showed in the beginning, it is truly linked to the global conversation. So I remember well when we visited Japan for the G20 summit there. But it also goes all the way down, not just the technology stack, but also the, you would say, the cultural stack. So the different global regions, and I mean, coming myself from Denmark, I know what you present there. I mean, it's actually not very easy to tap into because it's legacy upon legacy. So what I see here is really what, you know, the cities would want from the market. So companies that are listening, both to what's practically possible and also that we can get scale and economies of scale. So drive the price down and commoditizing whatever can be commoditized using open source and so on. But then also actually the bits and pieces that are really essential, they are there. So it's very nice to see rolled out, you know, also outside my, you know, private window back at home, I can see, you know, the OS2 IoT thing is. So yeah, very glad to see this on behalf of, well, all the little logos here from all the members, because it's good to hear that the market is responding.
So thank you, Martin, for your kind remarks. And yeah, we're almost at the time. And I hope dear participants, you all enjoyed having some hints about what NEC is doing, and also in collaboration with OASC and all the ecosystem around the networks. And I really thank this opportunity together with my 4 colleagues. Actually, Mitsuyo was finally able to join, and she's here also. And so thank you very much, OASC, and thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you very much, Yasunori and team, for supporting OASC, and hope to see you in other events that we're planning this year.